Please just start. There we go. Okay, we're going now. I pulled the trigger on the live stream because there is a significant tornado on the ground right now. This is currently a PDS tornado warning for portions just to the north of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, including portions of northern Denton here. Let's look over radar. I did go over this. I thought I was live. I wasn't for some reason because it sucks and it's making me angry now. But very, very classic supercell look here. Very, very well-defined hook echo. And our velocities look absolutely insane. Very, very well-defined area of rotation. Very tight rotation as well. Definitely some pretty significant rotation. And a very, very broad and a very strong area of inflow here. Anywhere surrounding Denton, Albury, Pilot Point is likely able to feel winds streaming out of either the south or the southwest, feeding into the inflow here of this storm. However, if you're in the tornado warning, do not go outside to try and feel those. Take shelter immediately. Here is the areas of impact. Again, this is a PDS tornado warning. This is a spotter confirmed tornado warning. Tornado warning remains in effect until 11:15 p.m. for northern Denton, southeastern Cook, and southwestern Grayson counties. At 10:44 p.m., a confirmed tornado was located near Sanger, moving east at 30 miles per hour. This is a particularly dangerous situation. Again, confirmed tornado. This tornado will be near Ray Roberts Park and Johnson Branch around 10:50 p.m. CDT. Ray Roberts Park, Isles Du Bois around 10:55 p.m. CDT. Pilot Point around 11 p.m. CDT. Other areas of impact include Lake Ray Roberts, Tioga, Boulevard, Roadrunner, Valley View, Lewis, Lincoln Park, Providence Village, and Louisville Lake. Again, if you live in the affected region, please take shelter immediately. And because it is nighttime, it is going to be extremely hard to see. If you live in the warning polygon, it is not worth risking your life over some footage, because you're probably not going to even get any footage because it's so dark. Just take shelter immediately. Even if it was during the day, you still need to be taking shelter. Do not attempt to try and record this tornado. Just get to your safe spot. But very, very violent areas of rotation here. It is becoming significantly more messier. It was looking much better a couple radar scans ago. However, for some reason, my software wasn't letting me stream. And I'm sorry that I missed that, but had a very well-defined hook echo. Very well-defined area of rotation there. It is becoming significantly more messy. However, we are watching a couple areas. Mainly this area, it seems. This is becoming a great concern to me. This area is beginning to die down a little bit. However, we could potentially get twins here in a second, because we have this area of rotation, this area of rotation. This one is probably going to be rotated northward and absorbed into the storm. This area of rotation will likely take hold as the primary underneath the mesocyclone. This definitely was radar confirmed as well earlier as well. Definitely have some really strong rotation, a very deep debris ball, or very deep correlation coefficient drop, very indicative of a tornado being on the ground. And I hate so much that I missed it earlier for you guys, that it wouldn't let me stream. I have no idea why. I tried it multiple times. I hate that I missed the coverage for this earlier, and I potentially missed life-saving coverage. It pains me that it makes me angry that I missed that for you guys. Like, it genuinely makes my blood boil that it just doesn't work sometimes, and I miss that for you guys. And then usually I just get riled up like that and just can't not get riled down. So please forgive me if I'm a little bit angry for the rest of the stream coverage. But it is becoming significantly less organized here. However, it does look like this is going to undergo sort of a cycle here. This is going to cycle out areas of rotation, cycle mesocyclones. This looks like this is going to die off. Could still have a tornado underneath that. I'm unsure because correlation coefficient didn't really provide much insight. This is going to be absorbed into the main storm, be taken over by the downdraft. Still a very, very strong inflow jet here that's just feeding into this region, fueling this mesocyclone with inflow winds upwards of 80 miles per hour. This is aloft too as well. Inflow channel is still open for that northern. Actually, no, it is closed. It is occluded, but still very, very strong inflow jet here. If we want to see a significant tornado, which I really hope not by this point because we are in a very populated area, this area is going to have to move a little bit northward. Inflow channel just isn't quite there to really stream into this mesocyclone, this new mesocyclone just yet. As it moves to the north and this kind of gets out of its way, it's going to have access to that inflow channel, and that will definitely do some scary things. We'll see how this goes from here. We'll see the next velocity scan, but this still has a really, really scary look to it, and we could even have twins on the ground right now. With two prominent areas of rotation. Correlation coefficient isn't showing much insight, and like again, it just makes my blood boil so much that I miss that for you guys. It makes me genuinely super angry. The inflow channel has actually strengthened substantially compared to what it was previously. So I'm scared to see what this new mesocyclone is going to do with that new or with this much stronger inflow channel. It is occluded though, so what it's doing is it's kind of if you picture it the way I do, where I picture tornadoes as kind of like a miniature version of a surface low. So surface low here. RFD acts as the cold front, and then the inflow jet acts as warm air advection just to the south of a warm front / stationary front, which would be the boundary just to the south of the main downdraft and to the north of the inflow jet. And what's going on is that it's kind of it's occluding. So it's doing the same thing that an occluded front will do, where the cold front pushes the warm air up between two cold air masses. So the warm air is aloft and is being pulled around the main tornadic core and being pushed up into the main tornadic core. And that means it's in its mature stage. And man, the newest velocity scan is definitely a sight to behold. That definitely has a really scary look to it here. Not much insight from correlation coefficient, and it is significantly more messier now. Still PDS tornado warning though, and it is being considered observed. Oh no, the inflow channel is still open here. Wait, hold on. Where's the radar site? Yeah, okay, so we're south. Yes, the inflow channel is open. I think, at least. We are still, we are looking at the upper level, or more mid to low levels of the atmosphere, not at the surface. So this is probably around the area of occlusion would be, potentially a little bit higher. So this is right around where the occlusion would be. But the inflow channel, you can definitely tell, is still open here. With the RFD that wraps all the way around, and the inflow jet, the pseudo warm front, as I like to call it, kind of wrapping around here, and it kind of it looks like it occludes with our RFD probably somewhere around here, and then circles around the rest of the tornado, with this being the surface low, or where the tornado is. I'll make it black so it's easier to see. So the inflow channel is still wide open, and I can tell because you have this area of green flow that's being pulled southward on the northern side of this area of rotation here, with blues and greens moving towards the radar site, reds moving away. Very clear area of rotation. That's going to be your wall cloud. However, this area of green moving towards the radar site, which is down to the south, all this wind is being pulled out of the south here, and it's being indicated as red and those bright oranges because it's moving northward away from the radar site, and then it gets pulled to the northern side of that area of rotation, then pulled back south again, back towards the radar site, and circles around the main tornadic circulation, if you can kind of picture that there. Ooh, and this is tightening up significantly more now. Very, very tight area of rotation. Still a wide open inflow channel that feeds right into the inbound pixels or the southbound pixels moving towards the radar site. But very, very strong rotation there. Again, PDS tornado warning is still in effect. This still is considered observed. Here's your areas of impact. Tornado warning in effect for northeastern Denton County in north central Texas, northwestern Collin County in north central Texas, southeastern Cook County in north central Texas, southern Grayson County in north central Texas until around 11:45 p.m. CDT. At 11 p.m. CDT, a confirmed tornado was located over Ray Roberts Park Johnson Branch, or 9 miles northeast of Sanger, moving east at 30 miles per hour. Again, this is a particularly dangerous situation with a radar confirmed tornado now. So it's no longer being indicated by weather spotters. Actually, I'm not really too sure why it's being radar confirmed, because there's no correlation coefficient drop. There was one earlier, but there isn't one anymore. But still, that still doesn't negate the tornado potential. Tornado still could touch down at absolutely any time. Again, tornado will be near Pilot Point and Ray Roberts Park, Isles Du Bois, around 11:05 p.m. CDT. Salina around 11:15 p.m. CDT. Gunter around 11:25 p.m. CDT. Other areas of impact include Lake Ray Roberts, Cannon, Weston, Tioga, White Mound, Farmington, Elmont, Altoga, and Westminster. If you live in the affected region, please take shelter immediately. If you do live in the warning polygon, do not try to film this tornado at all. It is not worth risking your life over, especially with the look of this velocity here. That is that is something to be reckoned with. That is some strong rotation there. Plus, it also looks to be rain wrapped, with our area of rotation kind of being tucked away back into our storm here. It's going to be heavily rain wrapped. Plus, with it being nighttime, you're not going to be able to see it. Do not attempt to try and film this tornado. Even if it was extremely visible, you're still in the polygon, you still don't want to be filming it. It's not worth risking your life over. Still pretty turbulent rotation here. Couple areas that are being watched kind of split apart from each other is what it seems, but we'll still watch that. Again, tornado is still possible at any time with this storm. And this is still a particularly dangerous situation. This is a perfectly discrete supercell, aside from a little bit of activity further off to the east, but still extremely discrete. Basically, nothing is in its way to really prevent it from doing much. Actually, that may be a lie. Hold on, let me check. Yeah, so there is convective inhibition across this region. The cap is in place, but there is a very large amount of instability that is allowing for this to continue going. So even though the lid's on, whenever there's a strong updraft like this, it's not going to be able to be put back on stuff like this when it's already going. Two main areas of rotation as I'm seeing here. one weaker further east and one stronger further to the west. We'll watch them. We'll see how they play out. Inflow channel still wide open though, with winds being being backed out of the east, being pushed westward on the northern side of these areas of rotation, feeding right into them as well. If anything, it does look like this area of rotation further off to the east is definitely going to have a little bit more favorable area of inflow as it's closer. It doesn't really have much resistance. The inflow doesn't have to work as hard to get to that area of rotation. And further off to the west, it's having to work much harder to get over there. Plus, it's also having to deal with a little bit more turbulent flow from this other area of rotation further off to the east. So it's going to be a little bit harder off to the west. So I think the one that's further to the east could potentially be the more dominant one. However, the one further to the west could just entirely screw things up. This RFD and the northward trajectory of some of this airflow could just cause this area of rotation to just be absorbed northward into the downdraft of the storm. But we'll watch to see what it can do. I have a feeling that this may be the more dominant one. I have a gut feeling. However, the eastern ones typically aren't really. Actually, no, that's a lie. Typically the eastern ones are the more dominant one, because further off to the west, the more western areas rotations are usually the ones that have lived their lives and they're being cycled on. They're just gonna be kind of whisked away on the western side of the storm. So never mind. My gut feeling was right, I guess. Still very, very clear area of rotation, pretty strong. Definitely strongest on that western area of rotation. Definitely would watch for the one to the east, because that could still produce a tornado, but definitely the one further to the west is the more concerning one right now. No correlation coefficient drop that really indicated tornado being on the ground just yet. At least I don't think. I am a little bit of concern because this entire area is an area of a low correlation coefficient. But it's also kind of just right to the south of a hail core. But even if a tornado is on the ground or not, please take shelter immediately if you live in the affected region. This is still being considered an observed tornado, and it is still a particularly dangerous situation. I don't know if it is currently on the ground right now. It very well could still be, and if it isn't, it could still touch down at any time. Whoa, 90. Oh no, I thought that said 95 miles per hour. This is 65. That's a severe thunderstorm. The inflow channel is still wide open though. And the inflow channel is being significantly more favorable for the eastern area of rotation, even if the western one is definitely a little bit more stronger on velocity here. Wide open inflow channel, very, very strong inflow. And it's definitely not as strong further off to the west, but definitely reaching it. And on reflectivity, the hook echo is also significantly more organized further off to the east. You can see that hook echo really well there. It's definitely heavily rain wrapped, so I definitely think the eastern area rotation may become the more prominent one. That may be what is gonna go down here. So, okay, now it's getting even wilder. So, looks like we may have a little bit of a mesovortice trying to spin up along the inflow. One main area of rotation that is fairly broad, not really too tight, still capable of a tornado in between, or just to the west of that one mesovortice, but then we also have this area of rotation further off to the east, or further off to the west. It is getting further and further eastward, and the inflow channel is cut off for this one now. As you can see that there is no green pixels that's feeding into this region, but also no really outbound pixels. It kind of have to move away from the radar site a little bit to really feed into that area of inflow there. This one's kind of being cut off from its main source of fuel, so it's kind of probably going to kind of die off, but it is very, very tight though. Definitely a very tight area of rotation there. No correlation coefficient drop that indicates it being on the ground though. What I think is going to happen now that it doesn't have an inflow jet is this is going to kind of just be swoop like that, right? Just picked up and thrown eastward, rotate around the western side of the storm, not really do much, and die off. But this area of rotation definitely seems to be more favorable. And it, again, has a much more defined hook echo. Very, very clear inflow notch here. Inflow jet still wide open for the storm. Still wide open inflow jet. You can see it really, really clearly. I've honestly never seen an inflow jet this clear before, but I'm also not really too observant on them. So it's kind of boundary madness here right now. So you have the RFD from the other area of rotation that's kind of just punching in here. It's kind of limiting our inflow jet here, but a strong stream of warm, moist air that's just feeding into this area of rotation. It's going away from the radar site as it moves northward because our radar site's down to the south, and as it gets pulled back around, pulled back south on the northern side of that area of rotation, turns green again because it's moving back towards the radar site relative to the radar site, and rotates around that area of rotation. And then we also have our RFD that's kind of pushing on, but it is kind of getting farther away. So still wide open inflow channel, constantly feeding this area of rotation. It is probably going to continue to strengthen from here unless that inflow channel gets shut off. Still an observed tornado warning. It's still being considered observed, and it is a PDS tornado warning still. I'll go over the warning text again. Tornado warning remains in effect until 11:45 p.m. CDT for northeastern Denton, northwestern Collin, southeastern Cook, and southern Grayson counties. At 11:04 p.m. CDT, confirmed tornado was located around Ray Roberts, Park Isles, Du Bois, or 10 miles east of Sanger, moving east at 20 miles per hour. Pilot Point is in the direct path of this. Oh, I never knew that they actually said that. Where is Pilot Point? Apparently it's in the direct path of the tornado. Oh, Pilot Point's further west. Pilot Point hopefully is fine. I didn't see a correlation coefficient drop, and I didn't see anything noticeable for Pilot Point. It wasn't the tornado warning. Good thing is, it doesn't actually look like it took a direct hit. It does look like this area of rotation kind of took a northeastward turn right at the last minute, plus no correlation coefficient drop that indicates a tornado being on the ground. So Pilot Point definitely dodged a bullet there. Now this other area rotation is going to be the more dominant one. It is doing what I said it was going to do. It's going to be pulled northward and rotate along the western side of the tornado, or the western side of the storm, and just die off. That's how you get your deviant motion. Could still be capable of a tornado, though. I wonder if we'll get another tornado warning. Oh, that's a substantial increase from the last velocity scan. I wonder if we'll get another tornado warning polygon that looks something like this. Kind of. That's a rough estimate of where this area of rotation is going to push to the northeast. It still may be capable of a tornado, but will be significantly weaker as that area of rotation gets pulled to the north. I'm also not the NWS, so that may not happen. But this area of rotation got significantly stronger on the last radar scan, last velocity scan, significantly stronger area of rotation. And the inflow channel is still wide open, and it's definitely utilizing it with inbound pixels. Those very strong inbound pixels. Is definitely utilizing that inflow jet. And also utilizing that RFD as well. Very, very... Oh my gosh. Very, very... Well, let me just draw it out for you. Very, very, like... Just insane looking, to be honest. It's not occluded though, because the RFD would have to push northward or push eastward and cut off the inflow jet. Because the inflow jet's still wide open and maybe in more of its earlier stages. It's not really in its mature stage just yet. Still very, very capable of a tornado. I think it's important that we switch this over to velocity, this over to correlation coefficient. I think it's time to start tracking if it's going to be on the ground or not. Again, PDS tornado warning for this. Definitely had a substantial strengthening from the last radar scan. The inflow jet is definitely not as prominent, definitely not as strong compared to a good couple of radar scans back, where it did look like it was very, very strong, upwards of 80 miles per hour aloft, probably around 700 to 500 millibars. Definitely not that strong anymore, but it is overall much more well defined and being significantly more utilized in this area of rotation than it was being previously. So very, very strong, very tight area of rotation being fed by a very strong, very, very prominent inflow channel here. Your tornado would be right here. No correlation coefficient drop, no area of debris that would indicate a tornado being on the ground right now. Does look like we may have a couple mesovortices, some small mesovortices that may be trying to form, that may be capable of producing a tornado along the RFD. We'll watch those. I wonder if they'll just be either absorbed into the inflow channel and pulled into the main tornadic circulation, or if they're satellite tornadoes that may be rotating around. Who knows? But this may be what happens for the rest of this, lifetime of this tornado. Ooh, this has a really, really prominent trailing outflow boundary along the flanking line here. Along the flanking line, along the RFD there. Definitely not as strong, but still very, very tight, very turbulent rotation. Still very, very prominent inflow channel feeding into this thing. No correlation coefficient drop that would indicate, oh, well, we're getting a correlation coefficient drop scan. So let's give it a second. Come on, baby. Ooh, we're also getting a new velocity scan. Still no correlation coefficient drop, which is good, indicating that the tornado is probably not on the ground yet, but still, if you do live in the warning box area, please take shelter immediately, regardless of if there is a tornado warning or not, if you haven't already. Rotation is weakening down, though, which is good, but still, could definitely strengthen at any time, especially with its strong, very, very strong inflow jet and overall less resistance from that area of rotation that's further west. That area of rotation that was further west is basically just done. If this continues to weaken, I'll probably just go to sleep. By the next radar scan, I am like extremely tired, so next radar scan, we'll see what it says. If it strengthens, I'll continue to stay on. If it weakens, then I'm just gonna go to sleep. I will go over the overall overview of what's going on before I go, though. But yeah, I'm very tired. Definitely not as broad, but still, or definitely not as tight, but still pretty tight there. Broad overall, but that's kind of just because of the separation between the RFD and your inflow jet here. The area of rotation in reality is likely smaller with these what some new radar viewers would probably consider broad rotation is probably just two wind fields at work, because you have the RFD pushing out of the west here, and then you have the inflow channel feeding into this region. Hold on, that's kind of bad looking. Inflow channel that's feeding into this region. The RFD is kind of like this a little bit more. It's punching out a little bit more, kind of digging into that inflow channel a little bit more. The rotation kind of being a little bit more on the smaller side, so we'd probably see overall smaller rotation. Whoa, what the? Oh, it's strengthened again. I'm also noticing this. Hold on. Oh, that's not a good sign at all. Looks like we may have a correlation coefficient drop here, and a pretty deep one as well. Not perfectly lined up with our area of rotation, so I'm uncertain about that. But definitely a scary look, though. Never mind, it looks like it's like basically perfectly lined up with our area of rotation there. Pretty deep correlation coefficient drop. Is almost certain that this tornado is on the ground. There's a little bit of uncertainty because it is slightly off, but even if there isn't a tornado on the ground right now, then there could be one at any time. And it does look like there is a tornado on the ground. So again, a tornado immediately just to the west of Weston and to the west of Anna. Again, if you live in the affected region, please take shelter immediately, especially Weston and Anna. Areas affected by this tornado warning include northeastern Denton, northwestern Collin, northeastern Cook in southern Grayson counties. Confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado was located near Salina, or 14 miles northwest of McKinney, moving east at 35 miles per hour. Weston is in the path of this tornado. This is a particularly dangerous situation. Hazard damaging tornado, source radar confirmed tornado. So there is a clear correlation coefficient drop. Now there is a tornado on the ground. Other locations, or this tornado will be near Salina and Gunter around 11:25 p.m. CDT. Anna and Melissa around 11:35 p.m. CDT. Van Alstyne and around 11:40 p.m. CDT. Other locations of impact include Cannon, Weston, Tioga, White Mound, Farmington, Elmont, Lake Gray, Roberts, Altuga, and Westminster. If you live in the affected region, please take shelter immediately. Weston is immediately just to the west of this thing, and the primary concern as of right now, if you live in Weston, you are the town that needs to be in shelter more than anyone else in this warning polygon. But still, if you live in this warning polygon, you still need to be in shelter. It's extremely important, as this tornado is likely on the ground. Very, very well defined correlation coefficient drop, and some tight rotation as well. Very strong rotation as well. And the wind fields that are going in to support this thing are just absolutely insane. Very, very strong inflow jet, and it's being utilized to its full entirety, and a pretty powerful RFD. Very, very tight rotation, very clear correlation coefficient drop. We'll see what the next correlation coefficient scan says, as we are getting another one. Also, another velocity scan. Oh, that's not good. Oh, that's significantly more in line with our area rotation there. Our area rotation, thankfully, looks like it has brought it up. It is weaker, but still very low area of correlation coefficient, likely indicating that there was at least a brief tornado on the ground, and could very well still be on the ground at this time. Don't see any tornado reports. Hold on, I'll check Twitter. Because I do know that they like to post things on Twitter. Because Claymore, Oklahoma is also PDS tornado warning for Claymore, Oklahoma as well. Oh my gosh. This is like getting to Doppler, or not Doppler, but yeah, of course Doppler, because this is a Doppler radar, but but this is like getting to Doppler on wheels level of resolution here. Very, very clear area of rotation there. Very, very clear inflow notch. Very, very clear hook echo. This is probably one of the most defined supercells I've ever seen. This looks like something that just came out of the Dow. Yeah, and oh my gosh, yeah, even more so. It is fully detached from our supercell here. Very, very clear area rotation. Correlation coefficient drop galore. definitely on the ground. Very, very tight area of rotation. Very strong area of rotation as well. And it does look like it is in heavily populated areas. This is definitely not a good situation. If you do live in the affected region, please take shelter immediately. I hate that there's 2 strong tornadoes ongoing right now in somewhat populated areas. Because, oh my gosh. Okay. Locations in or near the path include Claremore, Pyror Creek, Verdigris, Inola, Salina, Dreer, Foyle, Rose, Sportsman Acres Community, Tiawa, Prior, Catoosa, Chateau, Locust Grove, Aluga, Spavina, Hoot Owl, Spavina State Park, Taiwa, and Strang. If you live in the affected region, please take shelter immediately. Very, very clear tornado on the ground. It is basically radar confirmed by this point. Again, PDS tornado warning. This is a particularly dangerous situation, as a large and extremely dangerous tornado has been confirmed on the ground right now. Again, if you do live in the affected region, please take shelter immediately. Extremely well-defined supercell here. And it looks like we're getting a little bit of a debris ball as well. Unfortunately, it does look like we're getting a debris ball. A very well-defined hook echo. Like, extreme multitudes of extreme proportions of it being defined here. Very, very well-defined. And we're getting a new reflectivity scan. Hopefully it doesn't get worse. That honestly looks so much better, but there's still a tornado on the ground. So much better is in the fact that it doesn't look as defined anymore, but there's definitely still a tornado on the ground. As you can tell, that the correlation coefficient doesn't kind of have that same hook shape as our reflectivity does. We do have an area of low correlation coefficient there, indicating that there is debris being lofted into the atmosphere. Again, this is a radar confirmed tornado. Again, very, very strong, very tight rotation there as well. Definitely significant tornado moving through some pretty populated areas. If you do live in the affected region, please take shelter immediately. Again, very, very dangerous situation. Yeah, you can see the evolution of this thing is just absolutely insane. Let's look south for the other PDS tornado warning. Thank goodness it doesn't look as bad anymore. I don't see a defined correlation coefficient drop. Rotation has become significantly more turbulent and much more broader, and honestly doesn't really seem to be as much of a concern. But with the history of this storm producing a significant tornado, never mind, our rotation is still pretty tight there, and has a really well defined inflow jet as well. Again, still a very dangerous situation. If you do live in the affected region, please take shelter immediately. Areas of impact include where are they? Where are your areas? Areas of impact include McKinney, Anna, Melissa, and Cannon, Elmont, Weston, Altuga, and Westminster. If you live in the affected region, please take shelter immediately. Again, this storm does have the history of producing a tornado. Sorry, I'm just trying to like do something here. I've read something about that being able to see temperature. About oh yeah, this is still very nasty look to it. Very well defined area of rotation there. Definitely a violent, or maybe not a violent, but definitely a significant tornado ongoing. You can see an area of increased reflectivity right on the edge, or right in the center of the hook echo there. Definitely debris being lofted into the atmosphere, and because correlation coefficient doesn't have the same shape as reflectivity, even though it's messy because it's pretty close to the radar site, we don't have that area of high correlation coefficient that takes the shape of our reflectivity, indicating that we do have debris being lofted into the atmosphere. As far as velocity goes, still some really tight, very strong rotation there. Again, tornado is definitely on the ground still. Again, this is a particularly dangerous situation. Again, areas of impact include Claremore, Pyra Creek, Verdigris, Inola, Salina, Adrir, Foyle, Rose, Sportsman Acres Community, Taiwa, Pryor, Catoosa, Chateaua, Locust Grove, Olga, Spavina, Hoot Owl, Spavina State Park, Tiwa, and Strang. If you live in the affected region, please take shelter immediately. Again, this is a particularly dangerous situation. Oh gosh. Yeah, velocity got significantly worse from the last scan. Now we have outbound upwards of 100 and inbound upwards of 70. Still correlation coefficient drop as expected, and we are getting more of a debris ball, unfortunately, with reflectivity getting upwards of 60 dBz in that area of reflectivity there, right where that tornado is. That is debris being lofted into the atmosphere, being picked up by radar. I definitely think that we could potentially get a tornado emergency any minute now. Definitely think that's on the table. Especially with a new look from velocity, definitely think that's on the table. I would not be surprised to get a tornado emergency any second now. Really hope I'm not pulling the gun on this, or pulling the gun too early. But still, this is a very, very dangerous situation. Very dangerous tornado is currently ongoing in some pretty populated areas. If we zoom in here, wait, was I wrong about it being populated? I swear there was more of a residential area around here. May have been wrong. Let's hold on. I need to see where this is. I need to see where this is. I have Google. I'm getting Google Maps pulled up on another monitor because I need to see where this is. A new scan here. Still a very, very well defined debris ball. A very well defined debris ball. Correlation coefficient drop still very deep. Tornado is definitely still on the ground right now. Velocities, it's getting even tighter and even stronger here. Now we have inbound pixels upwards of 90 miles per hour, outbound upwards of 113 across this region. A very, very strong area of rotation. Definitely going from significant to approaching violent, I would say. This is for Pryor Creek. I'm trying to find it. It doesn't have that it's still very, very tight, very strong here on the news velocity scan. Not as much, still a really deep debris ball, or really deep correlation coefficient drop, still indicating that there is a tornado on the ground as of right now. And what seems to be a debris ball still on reflectivity. Do you want to change color tables here? Because the Viper HD, yeah, Viper HD shows it significantly more than my high resolution ensemble yeah, that's a extremely well defined debris ball here on Viper HD. Extremely well defined debris ball. Oh wait, no. I'm just trying to see what all the different color tables look like. I'll stick with this one. But yeah, still very, very well defined area of rotation. Correlation coefficient does seem to be pretty low. I'll wait on the next velocity scan here. But again, even just the reflectivity still definitely shows that a tornado is on the ground. We'll wait on the next reflectivity scan. But the last velocity scan there, you saw it for a second. It's not there. I don't have it anymore for some reason. But you saw that it was very tight there in the center. Not sure why I don't have that scan anymore. I would love to see that scan again. It was extremely tight in the center there, though. And again, even just the look on reflectivity just screams tornado on the ground. If you live in the affected region, again, please take shelter immediately. This is going to need a new warning polygon because this is taking more of a northeastern trajectory, I think. Yeah, somewhat of a northeastern trajectory, but still mostly east. I really hope that this eventually gets absorbed into the main downdraft because that will cut it off from its area of inflow and it will weaken down. Did it just skip over velocity frames or something? What happened? Because you saw that there a couple seconds ago, where or a minute or so ago, where it was very tight there in the center. But still, regardless, as of right now, with the current velocity scan that we have, very, very tight, very, very tight. Not as strong as previous scans. It was definitely significantly stronger earlier, but still very tight. Ooh, there we go. There's our scan again. It doesn't look the same, but still very, very tight in the center there. Very, very tight area of rotation. Definitely a tornado on the ground. Inbound pixels getting upwards of 80 miles per hour as the couplet moves away from the radar site. And with outbound velocity pixels plus the outbound trajectory of our storm compared to the radar site, upwards of 115 away from the radar site. So, yeah, definitely sight to behold. Very, very tight area of rotation there. Definitely still on the ground. If you live in the affected region, please take shelter immediately. Correlation coefficient drop is still just screaming that there's a tornado on the ground. Hopefully it can begin to occlude here soon. Which looks like that may be the main solution here, because we'll wait on the next reflectivity scan here to see what the hook echo says. But looks like it may be getting cut off there. At the surfaces, probably not, but aloft it definitely is. Still very, very tight area of rotation there. Still really strong. Correlation coefficient drop, still screaming that there's a tornado on the ground. Again, if you live in the warning polygon, please take shelter immediately. Again, this is a particularly dangerous situation. Correlation coefficient is just still not giving up, still screaming that there's a tornado on the ground. What does velocity say? Oh, still very, very tight. It's getting even tighter there. Reflectivity. Wait, hold on. Oh my god. Max velocity hit the gritty on his live stream. That's actually funny. I was looking for pictures of potentially pictures of the tornado that is currently ongoing right now. See if anyone has posted anything about it, and I get blasted with max velocity hitting the gritty. But still very, very scary look. In our our high resolution ensemble forecast color table is definitely a little bit more conservative, which goes along with the high resolution ensemble forecast system. But the debris ball is still getting worse, with very, very deep correlation coefficient now getting below 50% or 0.5%. And oops, I don't want to switch to models. I almost did that subconsciously. Very, very tight rotation still. Yeah, and still a pretty dangerous situation here. Again, this is a particularly dangerous situation. If you live in an affected region, please stay weather alert, or please take shelter immediately. Don't just stay weather alert. Please take shelter immediately. Rotation isn't as strong anymore, but definitely still take shelter immediately. Again, tornado warning continues for some pretty decently populated areas, as apparently there's enough debris, enough stuff in the atmosphere to be turned into a debris ball. I'm reposting the max velocity grittying on my Twitter. Hopefully this ends soon, because I'm honestly getting tired. I really need to go to sleep here soon. It's almost 1 a.m. 8 minutes till 1 a.m. I really don't want to destroy my sleep schedule. Okay, that's just a regular PDS tornado, or that's just a regular tornado warning. I really hope it doesn't go PDS because I don't really want to cover it anymore. I really just want to go to sleep. Ooh, okay, so this honestly doesn't really have much. Doesn't really have a well-defined hook echo here. Definitely has a hook echo trying to form, it seems. It has an inflow jet. Oops, what am I doing? Has an RFD here. Has a inflow jet. Just a very small area of rotation there, not really too tight. So, definitely needs some work if it wants to produce a tornado. But here are the areas of impact. Will be around Arkansas City around 11:55 p.m. CDT. Tornado warning for southern Coley County and south central Kansas. Tornado warning, other areas include Maple City and Schroeder Field Airport. If you live in the affected region or are in the affected region, please take shelter immediately. And we'll go back to this PDS tornado warning. Thankfully, the debris ball has calmed down. Rotation is also seeming to die down, but still very, very tight there. Definitely still on the ground by the look of correlation coefficient. Correlation coefficiency. And especially with the new correlation coefficiency scan as well, still on the ground. Reflectivity. Still some high areas of rotation there. High areas of reflectivity. Still indicating at least a lower end debris ball now. Still debris being perfectly clear on reflectivity. Not as tight of an area of rotation anymore, but still not as tight. It's tighter of an area of rotation, to be honest. It is definitely still very, very well defined, but it's not as strong anymore, so hopefully this is beginning to die off. Hey, I thought we were getting a new scan. What just happened? Tornado warning for northern Texas has been downgraded to just regular tornado warning, and it is radar indicated now. But still, be sure to be in shelter if you live in that warning polygon, but I'm not really going to be covering it. This tornado warning is going to be the final thing that I'm going to cover. Once it goes either radar indicated or removes the particularly dangerous situation tag, I'm going to go to sleep. Still some really tight rotation there. Probably some of the tightest rotation I've ever seen, to be honest. And very well defined debris ball as well. Thank God it's not as well defined anymore. It's blending in with the rest of the storm now, but still definitely see that there's a little bit of a higher area of reflectivity. Rotation is also beginning to die off significantly quicker. Still really, really tight there, but definitely not as strong anymore. Correlation coefficient is still absolutely insane. I don't know what's going on, because you have kind of a donut here with an area of some semi-low correlation coefficient in a area of very low correlation coefficient. It's kind of like a donut there. So don't really know what's going on, to be honest, with that. But widespread low correlation coefficient, definitely indicating that debris is kind of being flung around everywhere. Definitely it's still on the ground. Again, if you live in the affected region, please take shelter immediately. Seems like the area that is most immediate area of concern is probably Pryor Creek right now.
Correlation coefficient is becoming significantly less organized, which is good, but doesn't really mean much because it's still low, still indicating tornadoes on the ground. We'll see what velocity says here soon, though. Thank goodness that velocity kind of died off. Not as strong rotation anymore. Definitely think that this tornado warning may lose its PDS status here. Correlation or reflectivity is also kind of dying down. Definitely can see that pretty well defined hook echo there. Definitely not as well defined anymore, and we don't have that debris ball as well. Also have this cell that it looks like it's kind of just gonna punch through our hook echo, merge with this storm. Could do some wild things, but I don't plan to be streaming for it, so. Now that this tornado warning is looking overall much less scary, but still, if you do live in the affected region, please take shelter immediately, especially Pryor Creek. That is the town that's most immediately in danger. Again, that's Pryor Creek, Oklahoma, northeastern Oklahoma. At least I think it's northeastern. Yeah, it is northeastern Oklahoma. So I have a couple of tornado warnings for Missouri here that I will probably not be covering either. New velocity scan. Please continue to weaken. Please, please, please. Still showing low end reflectivity and the loss of hook echo overall, to be honest. Yeah, rotation just isn't real. It became broad. It's broadened out. It's just kind of dead now. It's still rotating at least a little bit. But honestly, not really too much of a concern for me anymore. So, that merger is currently killing it right now, but it could make it more organized. It could support a tornado risk. What I'll do is I'll go over the areas of impact for the rest of these tornado warnings, and then I'm just going to go to sleep because right now I'm tired. It's 1 a.m. now, so here's the areas of impact for this tornado warning. Probably going to lose its PDS status here soon, so it's a little bit invalid, but tornado warning remains in effect until 12:15 a.m. CDT for southeastern Rogers and Mays counties. Locations in or near the path include Pryor, Chautauqua, Salina, Spavinaw, Hutawel, Spavinaw State Park, Strang, Pryor Creek, Locust Grove, Adair, Foyle, Rose, Sportsman's Acres Park, Snowdale State Park. If you live in the affected region, please take shelter immediately, because even if it doesn't look well defined as of right now, it could tighten up here soon. So definitely make sure that you are taking shelter. One big thing that I am noticing is that this cell may even just become its new hook echo and maybe trying to form some rotation here. However, I honestly don't want to be live for it. But definitely be taking shelter. Please stay weather alert if you live in the affected region. And definitely, please take shelter if you live in any of these tornado warnings. We'll move to southern Kansas here. Definitely has a much more well-defined hook echo. Pretty well-defined area of rotation there. Very strong RFD as well. Areas of impact include tornado warning for southern Cowla County. Thunderstorm will remain over mainly rural areas of southern Cowley County, including the following locations: Maple City and Schroeder Field Airport. If you live in the affected region or are in the affected region, please take shelter immediately. One for this one supercell that we were tracking that was to the north of Denton, still has some more turbulent motion. It is radar indicator right now, and honestly isn't really too well defined, but could tighten up and could try and produce a tornado. Tornado warning remains in effect until 12:15 a.m. CDT for northwestern Hunt, northeastern Collin, southeastern Grayson, and southwestern Fannin counties. Dangerous storm will be near Merritt around midnight. CDT. Other locations of impact include Westminster, Altuga, Kellogg, Weston, Frognot, Blue Ridge, Floyd, Kingston, Bailey, and Nobility. If you live in the affected region, please take shelter immediately. And then we only have one remaining tornado warning for Missouri here. We do have this weak area rotation, definitely a little bit more of a smaller weak mesovortice that could be capable of producing a tornado embedded in overall more of this line here that could be more favorable for damaging wind gusts, but still could support a tornado regardless. Tornado warning for North Benton County in central Mississippi or central Missouri. I've lost my train of thought. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located near Lincoln, or 7 miles southeast of Windsor, moving east at 45 miles per hour. Locations of impact include Lincoln, Cole Camp, Iona, Palo Pinto, Mora, Brandon, and Cockerville. If you live in the affected region, please take shelter immediately. But that's going to conclude the live stream because I'm tired. Still, there's no PDS tornado warning. I can finally turn it to this graphic instead of a PDS graphic. But with that being said, I'm going to end the live stream. Thank you all for tuning in for those that did. And hopefully I'll be able to see you guys tomorrow.